This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
And we're live today. Look at us. I was just looking for the Facebook page. Do we have it?
YouTube is live, but Facebook isn't connecting for some reason.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me know if we get connected. Anyway, good afternoon. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the City of Leominster, and welcome. We meet here every Thursday night, 4 to 5 o'clock, and it's a call-in if you'd like. Sometimes people are like, yeah, I don't want to go on air. No problem. You can just call, and whoever answers the phone, they'll take your question. You can hang up, and I will give you the answer. And our phone number is 534-1626, right? 1626. And we have a really fun show today. I've been trying to recruit them for some time now, but we finally got a date. Of course, we had some storm weather, and you know, when it's dark and yucky out, we kind of have to postpone sometimes for some of our guests. But we have the members of the Leominster Historical Commission tonight, and they're going to be talking to you about a whole bunch of things that you probably never knew about the city of Leominster. And speaking about the city of Leominster, here's our race car, I guess it would be the pit crew. It's Art from the Art Report.
Yes, it is racing season.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't. I was involved with some live coverage with NBC Sports World at one time.
Wow.
On TV, and did the races live from Connecticut, and also did some live stuff from Trenton, New Jersey on the big USAC Indy cars, and had a lot of fun doing it.
Hey, you think?
And I received some national, I'll have you know, Mr. Mayor, some national recognition.
You did?
Yes, I did. I have a picture in my basement of Ned Jarrett from NBC Sports.
Yeah.
Handing me an award.
An award?
At Trenton, New Jersey for TV coverage.
Wow. Look at you. Don't throw that away.
And it is that time of year, and it reminds me of the people out there that do not clean the snow off their cars. I can't believe it. I saw one the other day that had the driver's side, maybe 2 feet of the windshield was clean. Passenger side had an eye hole through it. Mm-hmm. And the rest was snow on the windshield. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely could. I was praying that a police officer pulled it over, but they didn't. At least what I saw.
I think Tuesday.
But I don't know what makes people do that. I would feel quite terrible if I didn't, and then something flew off and took out somebody's windshield and they got hurt.
Well, Tuesday or Wednesday, I was like Route 2, 128, and there were cars pulled over all over the place because they got hit by ice. And their windshields were smashed. You couldn't drive. They had to wait for,
Isn't that amazing?
I assume, a tow truck to tow them out of there. Not to mention how scary it must be, and somebody can get really hurt. I mean, you're driving down at 60 miles an hour, all of a sudden the thing hits you, you can't see, you got people on both sides of you.
Glass in your eyes.
That too, sure.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Me either.
You know? I got a funny quick story for you about my racing exploits.
I love your stories.
They had Trenton, New Jersey put on a press race, and they set a course up on the mile-and-a-half speedway, and you had to run the course as fast as you could. And the $500 for first place. So
Wow,
I was pumped up.
Yeah, I'm in.
And you had to go one way down the track and then turn around and come back up the other way. But you had to do it in an opposite direction. Well, my adrenaline was flying so much because I had my foot in it. I went both ways the same way and got disqualified.
Oh, no. Couldn't get you right to the left.
Yeah. Instead of going right, I went left. Instead of going left, I went right.
Hey, yeah,
But,
you know what I was going to ask is, maybe try to, if you could help us set up a visit to the museum, the Ron Bouchard Museum with Scott, we can go out there and get some film and take a little tour. What do you think, Scott?
Sure.
Wouldn't that be fun? Fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you call here, I know you're busy kind of downsizing at your house, but if you could or at least get us the right contact info, we could get up there and set that up. You know, could go sometime March or April or whatever. So.
Okay, let me write that down. Yeah, it's really nice in there.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've always wanted to go, and I know they had the opening, and I think I talked to his son that a couple days before. I couldn't make it. And
he's got his car there and all his trophies.
Cool. Yeah. We want to get up there and take a look at that, right?
We had some good times with Ronnie. I knew Ronnie when he was 13 years old in that age group racing go-karts at Hubbardston.
Wow.
And then, you know, it went on and on and on and on, and the big time, and that race that I was involved in Trenton, and he was part of it, and he never let me forget what happened either, in a fun way. But it was, you haven't lived till you've been to one of the big tracks, and a stock car, 3,000-pound stock car goes by you with 210 miles an hour.
Unbelievable.
It's a noise, and the minute you see it, you turn to your right, and it's already gone a mile and a half gone.
Till you get it again.
It travels a mile, 2 miles a second, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And they're under control with it. And there's no expression on their faces. They're relaxed. I've been out on the track with Bobby Allison and Ronnie, and they're both at speed and explaining to me what they were doing at the same time. And it was like they were driving through downtown.
Yeah, right.
Just casual. You know, everything they see, this is the best way I can put it, they seem to see everything in slow motion because they plan so far ahead.
Right. Yeah.
I remember Bobby telling me, he said, you know what? Right now, I'm not looking at that first turn down there, and that was like a mile and a half away. I said, what are you looking at? He said, I'm looking over at the back straightaway on the other side of the track.
Right.
Because I'm going to be there in a second and a half.
Wow. That's crazy.
He says, you never, on a super speedway, you never, ever drive looking in front of you. You're always looking to your left to see what's going on because you're going to be there before you know it.
Yeah, like playing chess.
Yep. That's the end of today's speed lesson.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And whatever you can find out or even get us a contact, and we'll set it up for later, March, April.
Well, I'll take care of it for you.
All right, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. That was Art from the Art Report, 978-534-1626. And we're going to take a short break. And yeah, we're, tonight's, I just leaving City Hall and coming here now felt good because I walked out and it wasn't that like cold that just gets like through your bones, and it wasn't all that windy. It's not all that warm either, but it's better. And as each day comes, we'll see an improvement in the temperatures, and you should see melting. All that ice that's out in your parking lot or your driveway or your walkway. Maybe you got some sand. We don't typically use sand because it just makes a mess and it gets all dusty later. But we had to use it this time. The salt and the treated salt that we're using just isn't working in those cold temperatures. So we had to go out and get you some traction. So our parking lots, different municipal lots, had been sanded, and then through the night they went out and added some sand to those spots along some of the streets that still had ice on them that the sun and the salt didn't help with. So we'll be right back, and we're going to be talking with members of the Leominster Historical Commission, and I can't wait. We'll be right back.
Hey there, my name is Sandy Palekia, and I am the owner-manager of Play It Again Sports in Leominster, Mass. The thing that I love most about this job, and I think that all of my associates and members, staff members would agree, is helping that little child, the one that walks through the door and he or she is about 3 years old, maybe 5 years old. They're excited to start their new sport. The mom or dad comes in with a piece of paper and says, how can you help? I don't really know what I need. And then we spend as much time as we can with that little individual, getting them all the things that they need. And then they're excited. Sometimes they even want to leave their equipment on as they walk out the door, which is totally fine. We all love helping that little new beginner develop their sport. Not a lot of sports stores around here or in the local area are able to provide used to their customers. We have customers who come in year after year after year. Their children are growing, and they really need to provide low cost, high quality merchandise to their kids frequently. Because those kids are growing so often, they don't want to be paying so much in top prices year after year. So the best thing is for us to be able to provide all sizes at a low cost, new and used, throughout the child's lifetime. So why we chose Leominster for Play It Again Sports is, one thing is that this establishment was here. It's been here for over, I'd say, 35 years. So it's great to have existing customers. The customers know you're here. So we kind of walked into it and made it our own. Additionally, my husband and I are residents of Leominster. He's lived here all of his life, and I've lived here for almost 20 years now. So we do enjoy Leominster a lot. The community has supported us with our growing pains in terms of what they may need and what we can get to them. We like to support back. Shopping with us supports the Leominster community, and that's important for any small business in town and for us. But more importantly, it's important for the mom and dad who are looking to buy a great price for their child. So leagues, moms and dads, kids, community, all very important.
Frankie Bello, back to Keenan.
It just missed the net and everything. It didn't even hit the rim. It's just like right through. Swish. Anyway, we're back here at Inside Leominster, 978-534-1626. And just a reminder that tonight from 4 to 6, we have the Farmers Market at City Hall. And it's not just, I kind of borrow an apple on the way out. But there's apples and potatoes and carrots, and there's everything there. And let's see, honey, different kinds of. But there's other vendors there tonight as well. And so if you get a chance, stop by. It's a lot of fun. Maybe the kids are like, it's Thursday, they've had it, and you want to get them out, get some fresh air, maybe grab something to eat, and stop down to the Farmers Market right at City Hall. Anyway, my thrill tonight to introduce the members of the Leominster Historic Commission. Just so people aren't confused, there's Leominster Historical Society and Leominster. And Diane and Leo part of both, right?
Yes.
How many others? I'm a member there. Mary's a member
Both.
there.
Yep.
Commission.
Pat and then Michael and are our guests today. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And
Nice to be here.
I try to look at all the things that Mike puts up and everybody puts up. Rocky, how's Rocky doing?
Rocky's doing
Rocky
well.
Palmieri's doing all right. Good. I got to start. Does he stop in at all?
No.
He's hoping
When
probably
it gets
by
warm.
April 1st.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want
it's
to
the
fool around in this
spring.
house,
Yeah, we
man.
wouldn't want him
Spring
out
and
this
the weather
weather.
No,
gets
but let me
better.
know when he comes over on a Thursday or Tuesday or whenever
I
we're
will.
over there. I'd love to come and see him. Rocky's a fighter, man. He got that
Yeah.
name Rocky for a reason. It's like when they gave him the name, they gave him this gene or something. That like he's the fighter, right? I mean,
Yeah,
for
he
what
is.
the man's been through.
So true.
Anyway, I know there are a lot of things I want to talk about tonight, but I appreciate everything that Mike sends over to me that the commission does. And so Mike and I see him, I'm like, hey, Mike, I got to get you on the show. He's like, yeah, the 300th's coming up. I'm like, the 300th?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like the Rocky Marciano, punch somebody out 300 times or something? And he's, no, it's an anniversary. I said, anniversary? Because the country this year, this is the big one.
Yeah. Right.
250
250,
years
yeah.
this year. It's the big celebration.
Yeah.
Especially for Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if you've down Concord at all, but along that stretch of Concord where all the historic houses are, Merriam Corner and all that, they must have got this massive grant because they've been working on it for a year.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're trying to get them all restored so they can open them up for the.
Yeah. Nice.
And some of them were in a little rough shape. They hadn't spent any money for a long time down there.
Yeah.
But they spent big money restoring them, all the way from, all the way from Hanscom, all the way down to the center of Concord. That's a long stretch.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. I'll be excited to see some of the buildings that I've never been in.
Yeah.
But anyway, the 300s, what's that all about?
Well,
Okay, ladies first.
okay, well, the important thing about 300 is that 300 years ago, the first house in Leominster was built. In 1725, 300 years ago, Gershom Houghton built the first house in Leominster. So we can claim the 300th anniversary of the first house.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were the first families that came here. And why did they
Yes.
come here? Because I know that they were from either Lancaster or
Lancaster, yes.
something, and they came here. And it's like, I know sometimes you have a disagreement with the members of your family. But
This gets,
let's just, let's mosey over to Leominster,
Right.
So what happened here, Michael?
Okay, I'll keep the long-term Europeans out of this. It's just the American colonials.
Yeah.
But anyway, prior to 1725, the Indian Sagamore, there's no Indian chief. Sagamore was an Indian chief. So George Tejano, the Sagamore, made a deal with the colonials. Yes, for 18 pounds, I will allow you the purchase of all this land, which eventually would encompass not only Leominster, but 6 other parts of 6 other towns down the Route 190 there. Bolton,
So let me
Stowe.
just, because I don't know if I read this somewhere or heard about it. It was the 7 towns of the Nashua. Is that what it was? They all
Nashua
came from
Plantation.
Lancaster?
Yes.
And so like Bolton and Stowe,
Yes.
everything
Yes.
was it 7 towns?
It was
Lancaster was the mother town.
Right.
Yes.
So was
yeah.
it,
I've
I
got
think
it
there was
here
a
somewhere.
publication somewhere, the 7 towns of Nashua, something
Right.
like that.
Before it was the town of Lancaster, it was a plantation, just like Plymouth Plantation.
Right.
Right.
So they called it Nashua Plantation
Nashua, yeah.
because of
So
the
the 7
Nashua
towns of
River.
Nashua. So the river ran through these 7 towns, but they were all part of Lancaster at
one
first,
point.
right?
Initially,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it was called the Additional New Land Grant. Okay, you had
Yeah.
Harvard, 1732, Bolton, 1738, Leominster, 1740, and then you had Sterling, 1781, Boylston, 1786, Clinton, 1850. So all those towns derived out of this.
Yeah.
And
Clinton
the
was
reason
just a puppy. They're just a puppy.
Sagamore, George Tejano, was essentially a pacifist. He saw this gentleman here, King Philip's War, which, based on North America, was the most costliest war on the North American continent ever. This, keeping the international situation out of it. This warrior, per capita and by per 1,000 English settlers, had the most casualties for any war.
Wow.
So,
And is this the same King Philip's Bridge and all that? Is the same person
Yeah.
up there in western part of the state?
yeah.
Irving or wherever, I don't know where that is, but I think it's the Connecticut River that flows.
Yes,
It is the
Yes.
Connecticut
Something
River.
like that. See, I know a little bit about a few things. Not enough to be dangerous, but just enough.
Sorry,
to-
you're doing batting 1,000.
You are.
So the Indian Toronto realized that making another full-scale war against the English was absurd. So he immediately conceded, and for that money, the people of Lancaster was able to purchase this land. And then, unfortunately, not all the Native Americans thought like him. And in 1702, there was another Indian war starting with the French versus the English. And the Native Americans, of course, were caught in the middle of it.
Were they around here? Yeah.
The natives, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
actually around here.
That's ways,
in
yes.
this area.
There was a Nipmunk. They were another tribe. I've got them on my database here as well. But they then decided we had a very, very vicious Indian massacre in 1704 out in Deerfield. I'm sure you've heard of Deerfield.
Yeah.
The
And,
Deerfield Massacre.
Yeah. So, although now Lancaster owned this land that was to become Leominster, they didn't venture out here until 1725. 25 years, that's a whole generation.
Right.
Because of the Indians,
Right.
the Native Americans, excuse me. And yeah, there was just,
So where's so the first house was it on Pleasant Street or was it on Low Street, Hill Street?
Well,
Hill
here's the
Street.
thing.
The
Back
corner
in
of
the
that-
hill, the corner of
but
Pleasant
back
Hill.
in those days, there was no Pleasant Street and there was no Hill Street.
What was it?
No, it was a road called the Old Road for
Yeah.
many, many years.
Where did that go?
It actually ran diagonal from where we know where Pleasant Street is today.
Yeah.
Towards Hill Street. So it was
Okay.
actually, it's not even there anymore.
Right.
But that was where he decided to build his farm.
And that's
Was on the old road.
so where the monument is. It's on Hill Street.
Well,
Right.
it was.
Right, it's been
Where did it go
was.
now?
Yeah.
In 1910, the Historical Society put up a monument that talked about the first house in Leominster, and they
Right.
put it on the actual property. They did not have the house anymore; it had already been destroyed. But there's an old well there, which we documented in the 1990s. But at about that time, the person who owned that land did not want to have people traipsing
All right.
across
I
his
remember this.
land and to view this memorial stone.
Yeah, we moved it,
So
right?
that
Right.
got
Yeah,
moved up to
Number
the
6
community
Yeah.
center.
Number 6
Oh, that's
schoolhouse.
where it. So,
It's at number
so we
6.
moved it from Hill Street
Yep,
over to number
number
6 schoolhouse.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if you go to the community center now, you walk around the outside, you'll see some interesting stones, and this is going to be one of them.
And that's the. So don't they still have a piece of glass or something at the historic?
Ha!
You brought it with you?
She's got the
Oh.
glass.
Okay, so.
Don't break it. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, I know, I don't either. All right, so I actually have, this is a copy of the actual deed that was signed by Gershom Houghton's father, Robert Houghton of Lancaster, to buy the land. So this
So
is a copy
they bought
of
it
it. This
from
is
who?
what it looked like.
The kid?
Tohonto.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Tohonto was the Indian
Sagamore.
Sagamore chief
Right.
at the time.
And he was signing off on the
He
land.
was signing off on the grant so that he would get some money, and eventually he went to Vermont and retired there.
He's like
So-
Bernie Sanders. He went up there to Vermont.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get away from these people.
Yeah,
There's too many people around. There's too many people
So-
around now.
Yeah.
There's a
And
family here. I'm leaving.
One of the things about the Historical Society is people were keeping some really interesting and weird things from the olden days. And one of those things is a pane of glass
Yeah.
from that first house in Leominster.
Just don't
and
break it.
this tradition, yeah, I know the tradition. Fortunately, someone saved one of the panes of glass,
Yeah.
and they preserved it with this iron
Oh, okay. Good.
Frame.
frame on it.
Yeah.
If you see an old Puritan house, you'll see Puritan houses have the kind of
million
diamond
panes.
diamond
Diamond
pane,
panes. Yeah.
right? That was the way they built the houses back then. They didn't make glass in America yet. They had to import all the glass from England. So it would be imported in these small panes. It would be easier to transport. And so you could buy as many as you needed. And this is the kind of window that it would have been used in.
Too bad the house isn't still there. That would have been fun, huh?
That would have been a
Now,
great
what
thing.
about
picture
what
of
about
that
that, Pat? What about that White House?
Somewhere in there.
If say you're coming out of Hill
Houghton's
Street, you
house.
take a right. There's a bunch of houses there, but then there's a White House on the right-hand side there. That's an old house. That had to be one of the first houses up there. You know what I'm talking about?
On the right-hand
Up on
the
side
hill?
going toward Sholin,
Yeah, just a couple houses before the Red Schoolhouse.
that's the Bulger house, right?
That had to be a.
Oh, no, this is
see,
further up. That's up on the hill.
just move it
Gershom
up.
Houghton's house, Hill and Pleasant Street, right there. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
That's the hill.
Hill's house.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's Nona Ojulet, and that's still there.
Yeah, no,
That's Nona's house.
this is if you're coming out of Hill
Right,
Street.
I don't.
You take a
that's
right
not one
now,
of the
and you
first
only
houses,
go up
but
a
it
few
is an
couple
old
houses,
one.
but you can
It's
tell
up
this
kind
was.
of on the hill, or is it
No,
the
it's
one
down.
that's on
It's
the?
down.
Okay,
It
I'm
might be the
thinking of
house
one up on
right
the hill,
before
but yeah,
the Red
yeah.
Schoolhouse.
talking
Yes.
But it must have been. it must have been one of the first houses because it's in still pretty good shape,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing else around there.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
as old
Well,
as
there's,
that.
I found this list from Florence Wheeler, my hero at the library, the librarian for almost 50 years, 49. I'm shooting for getting her record by a year, so I'm shooting for 50. But anyway, this is a list revised in December of 1932 by Florence Wheeler and Miss Abby Gates. And Miss Gates and Emma Moore were two early historians. So this is the first settlers. So she's got locations of early settlers. So she's got Gershom Houghton, where William H. Boyden now lives, and that's 749 Pleasant Street. So that would have been on Pleasant at that point. Colonel Jonathan White, which was at King's Corner.
Yeah.
His house was at King's Corner, and that burned. Thomas Wilder was at Whalum. So that was on the road that leads off Wilder Avenue. Nathaniel Carter was on Leggett Hill. Benjamin Whitcomb was on Fairview Street. Jonathan Wilson had a house where the Manson Hawes house was, which is now the rest home. Can't think of the name of it, but you know where
Next
I mean.
to on Main
Right
Street
in the
near the
corner,
Dunkin'
right? That was
Donuts.
his house that got
Yeah.
moved across the street. And then Thomas Houghton was at Derby
whose house
Farm.
was that?
That was Manson Hawes, the one who built
So
Hawes
can I tell you a quick
Chapel.
story about this? So remember we were looking for the Boston Post cane? I don't know if you remember this, Pat, but we were looking for the Boston
Yeah.
Post cane, and we couldn't find it, and so we actually found it. I don't remember how. Oh, it was.
Wasn't it up in Maine
it
or
was,
something?
Yes,
Or- yeah.
it was on eBay.
On eBay.
Mary Ann Cormier spotted it on eBay. And I didn't even know what eBay was. I kind of had a sense of it, but she collected antiques and
Yeah.
she knew what it was. So we ended up chipping in and we bought it, I think for $500.
Wow.
And it came down. Like 2 days after it's in my office, somebody comes in, and I remember as a young guy comes in, and I don't know if he was working, but behind the fireplace, they found like a poker.
Yeah.
And it resembled the Boston Post cane. So it might have been that he was like one of the oldest people, and so they gave him an actual Boston Post cane, and that somewhere along the line somebody was using it as a poker. I didn't keep it because they said, well, I don't. The thing was
Well, I
it
hope
burnt on
not.
the
That
edges
was
and everything.
Right.
Well,
But
he
it was
wanted to show it
awarded
to me.
the oldest person in town.
Yeah,
right?
but
that was
well,
what
no,
it was.
but we had the original, so they must have made a replica of it,
Oh,
and
okay.
then the replica is what they gave to the person or
Right.
something. Because I don't know where that ended up. I just remember him coming in. I'm like, now we have two Boston Post canes. It's like, well, the real Boston Post cane, please stand up. So it was an interesting
And he
story.
found it at
And
Hawes?
It was
It
at the
was-
Hawes, and the other thing is, Mr. Hawes. I don't know how true it is. Where I read it, where I heard it, but apparently when they were building the City Hall auditorium, he walked in, and when he walked in, there was no clock. And I don't know if he was looking to see what time it was or whatever was going on. He's like, wait, where's the clock? And like, well, I want to donate a clock. I want you to put a clock in here. How true that is, I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it, but I do remember the story.
believe it.
And it was Mr. Hawes. And Hawes
believe
is
it.
the guy that owned all that property where the mall is now, right? Hawes Street,
Yeah.
broken in half down there because of the Route 2.
Yep.
And,
Yeah. It was
all
a
right.
beautiful
So anyway,
mansion.
that's my history
Your
story.
Hawes, yeah.
That's all I know.
Well, Thomas Houghton was, they think Derby, the location of Derby Farm, because the note refers to land as the corner of Sterling and Lancaster. Joseph Wheelock was at 751 Main Street.
Okay.
Oliver Carter was at the Cheney Farm on Granite Street. Gardner Wilder was at the Mayo Farm on 807 Pleasant Street.
So they're all
that-
farmers.
Yes.
And
Oh,
they're all
yeah.
Wilders,
yeah.
too.
William Dival was on, 700 Main Street. William Sawyer was on West Street just before the turn onto Granite, 296 West. Ebenezer Pauley, they couldn't locate the house at the time, so this is 1932 when they were writing this up. But they said a schoolhouse was built on his land on the east side of Central Street, about opposite Willard Street. So he was there. And then Oliver Houghton was at the end of Brown Avenue, so that's opposite
Wow.
615
So there
Prospect
was a
Street.
house up there.
So there's, but you figure if you kind of, took a push pin and
They
looked at
had
a
all
map and put.
they spread out.
They
didn't.
spread out,
And there was a
yeah.
reason
So what you're saying is when
Yeah.
they settled Leominster, they didn't just come in and Houghton built their first house and then somebody went across the street.
No,
And then
no,
somebody
not
else
at
went
all.
down the
They
street.
couldn't be any farther from
So
each other.
Yeah.
they just started going like Derby Farm is up that bridge that goes over where U-Haul is as you go into Target and all that area up
Yeah.
there to the mall up there. And then it seems like because they were gathering land,
Yeah.
So they all
First
had
of all,
a
they wanted
couple
big,
hundred
they
acres of
wanted
land.
big farms.
Right.
There was lots of land available, and they wanted to be able to pass it on to their children.
Right.
The second reason was that they wanted to set up garrisons at wide places around the outside of where they wanted to live.
Right,
So that,
so that you could
people
protect
could have a place
from
to
Indian
run
attack.
when they were attacked.
Well, protection, that's what I was
They
figuring.
never,
Yeah.
they never saw the end of people of getting attacked.
Right.
So,
That was always an issue, even at that time. So this is 300 years that the
300
first
years.
person
Yeah.
strolled into Leominster with their deed
Right?
and,
Yep.
and got the first property, and it was located up near the Red Schoolhouse. I think that's the best way to explain it,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
Red
right.
Schoolhouse up in that area.
In that area, yeah. Yep.
And it was a good spot. You had water up the street.
it
You
was
had
an
Fall
excellent
Brook coming
spot, a
through.
southern exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could grow fruit, they could grow anything.
Good stuff up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year, are we going to do anything special? I mean, it's 300 years. We got to do something special. We got to tie into to something, right?
We hadn't thought that
What do you
far,
think?
but
We got to do something.
Well,
right? We
I'm
gotta-
working on a pictorial history of Leominster. We're very fortunate to have had
Yeah.
several terrific photographers that took
Oh, yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
We have pictures of the downtown, Dean, that go back to 1850,
That's amazing.
which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And
Gotta get
I'm
those
putting
scanned
together
in.
a slideshow.
Yeah.
That's what I got anyway, and we got these wonderful voices right here that'll narrate it for us.
When is that done?
No, I'm working on it.
Right.
and,
Working on it now.
I've got
We had
from-
done one on downtown. You and I had done that
Right,
a while
we
back.
finished
but-
to 1900. Now I'm
yeah.
from 1900 to now. Unfortunately, that's not a lot of modern pictures of downtown. And you know and I know, downtown has changed tremendously since I was just a
yeah.
kid.
We're lucky, though, that we still have a lot of buildings.
Absolutely.
You know, I was
Yeah.
going through this the other
Absolutely.
day, and I was kind of driving around with somebody saying, yeah, there was the Moose, and I used to deliver telegrams. And
Across the street,
Stick Bacusi was downstairs, and the Moose was upstairs, and next door was and then around the corner was the drugstore, as you're going around the corner where the
Dufour's.
Merchant
Dufour's.
Banks was, and
Dufour's.
then they had the sports place that burnt down. But then I started looking around, I'm
Sports
like,
Mart, yeah.
we were fortunate to still have Tim's Diner or the Mayo Building, so we still have a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
And we're lucky because of that. We didn't lose everything.
The
'cause
Richardson,
a
which
lot
the
of-
woodwork in the Richardson
A lot
is
of people, a lot of towns
astonishing.
lost like lots of buildings. Either they tore them down to create parking when the mall started to come in, or they had fires.
Yeah.
And once those fires got going, there wasn't much.
No.
I don't know, what
yeah.
year was your dad a firefighter? What year did he start?
He joined in '72.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So-
but my grandfather was on from just after the war.
Right.
So the late 40s.
And you didn't have the ability to knock down a fire like you
Oh,
do
yeah.
today. so-
Actually, it's funny. We were just my son Colin, who's also a firefighter, third generation, as you know, and Nona Ojala had found some slides that her grandfather Norman Wass had taken of the Manning Avenue fire, and they're in color. Which my son said, "Mom, I have never seen color pictures of this fire.
Seen a
We
couple
have
of them,
black
they're
and
amazing.
whites, but
But I think I remember
these
Manning
color
Ave apartments.
slides are
Ramsey's used to live there.
amazing.
I
And
lived
that-
on Church Street, and my father and I walked over to the fire. I'll
Yeah,
never forget
it was,
What?
oh my
huge.
What year was
God.
that?
That was in 1958,
58, 59?
Well, then I couldn't remind you. I was probably 56.
No, was
57.
50, was it 54?
50, it
Oh
was
my
in the
God.
late
I just
50s.
looked it up.
Well, I
last
remember
night,
one
too.
fire because there was a house there that you could get into from Mount Pleasant
Yes.
Ave, and you could also
Yeah.
get into it from Manning Ave.
Right.
Right.
Well, one of the slides.
So there
'cause
must have been
I said
multiple houses there.
We were looking at it, and I said to Colin, I said, "So how did he get this?" He said, "Mom, there were a lot of civilians helping the fire department out that day because this thing was just so
was
huge."
massive.
And he said. But I said, it looks like he's up on the roof. He goes, "That's not a roof.
Yeah.
That's Manning Avenue."
Yeah,
he
right,
said, "This
right.
guy's on the wall where Manning Avenue
Right,
is,
right.
shooting water over there to try to get what's underneath
Right.
him on Wilder Ave and Manning Ave underneath."
So we are
And I was
lucky
like,
that
oh my God.
We
Yeah.
saved, luckily
Yeah.
we saved. I mean, where Wickham Travel Agency had another floor on it, right? It had a fire. So they just said, we'll just take off the top floor.
the top.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes you see
Scanlon
pictures.
building, the Scanlon building,
Right.
that's missing
Sometimes
a
you look
floor.
at these buildings, you see old pictures like, where'd the top floor go? Doesn't
It
look like
burned.
the same
In
building.
a lot of places it
So
burned. Yeah.
while we lost some buildings, we've kept the churches
We've-
downtown.
yeah,
We
Yeah.
lost what was once St. Leo's, but kept
The
a lot
wood-
of those
the wood
historic.
block.
The wood frame.
Wood
yeah.
The wood
block.
block had a third floor,
Yeah.
and it had a big clock at the top, and
Yeah.
that had a
yeah.
big fire.
But I'm just saying, we're lucky that we've got what we got. That we
Yeah.
didn't lose a lot more buildings. And
The
I-
first St. Leo's was on Summer Street.
Oh, was it on Summer Street?
Yeah.
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 It was a parsonage and a church with a steeple on Summer Street.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And they got
And we've
that
got
from,
pictures of it
Where did they get that? Didn't they buy that from the Methodists?
from the Methodists.
Yeah,
Who
from
moved
the
downtown
Methodists,
and
yeah.
built that brick church.
What a history.
Just an amazing, you'll
It is.
appreciate this, Mayor. When President Lincoln got shot, he was brought to a hotel. And the two guards in his room were from Leominster.
Come on.
Yeah.
No way.
Pauly,
They were
wasn't
the
it?
Pauley brothers.
Pauly
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Pauly, P-A-U-L-E-Y.
No, P-O-L-L-E.
P-O-L-L, yeah.
Which is,
Like-
that's an old name. You know,
And
that's
after
one
he
of the
got
original
shot, the Secret
settlers.
Service wanted to bring him back to the
Abner
White
Pauly.
House,
Yeah,
let him
Abner,
pass there at the White House, but he was 6'4",
Yeah.
so they brought him across the boarding house there, and the
And
Pauly
he was
brothers
spreading the
assigned.
word, wasn't he? He was one of the people spreading the word about Lincoln.
His condition.
his
So what were two
assassination.
brothers doing there at this particular time at the same time?
They were guarding the president.
Yeah.
It's
They were
amazing.
guarding the president.
Guy-
Amazing.
Yeah.
Of all places, Leominster, Mass.
And where were these guys from? I mean, were they born here or they?
Yeah, they,
Pauly was one of the
It was a
original
regular name,
settlers.
yeah.
Polly's-
in fact, I ran across
Yeah.
one of the Paulies today when I was doing some research or something.
Yep.
And they were from Leominster, Mass. See that?
That's something?
Yep.
You can't go anywhere without bumping into some connection
from Leominster,
to Leominster.
yeah.
Trust me, you can't.
So the other
That's
interesting
absolutely true.
thing about Gershom Houghton was his wife Elizabeth.
Really?
Gershom Houghton was married to a lady named Elizabeth Rugg. with two Gs.
R-U-G-Gs.
Yes.
R-U-G-G.
Yep, I see the
And,
tombstone.
Elizabeth Rugg was not a shy woman. Apparently, Mrs. Houghton assisted her husband in the construction of the house by bringing stone in her stout homespun woolen apron. And this was no hardship on her part, for she was a large, stout woman and superintended the construction of her house and about everything else.
He married her for her knowledge.
I know.
And
So
her-
She
here's
could work.
so here's her so here's her stone in Pine Grove Cemetery.
Yes, I see it.
And it talks about her first husband, Gershom Houghton,
Yeah.
her second husband, Daniel Knight,
Yeah.
and interestingly enough,
Don't tell me
her
she
two
got rid of-
husbands are
Buried next to
sharing
each other?
buried next to each other and sharing the same stone.
I think we should have an
Gershom
investigation.
Houghton. This is definitely something
we
you
gotta-
won't find
you won't see
anywhere
the
else.
bodies here.
It's the two husbands of
Yeah.
Elizabeth Rugg.
And that's only the ones we
And
know
this is
about.
at Pine Grove Cemetery. You
I
can
find-
see it yourself.
This is a
What a
full
lady.
investigation.
I love the ladies of the past.
You know when they use that expression, she could bury you. You know what I mean? Like, mess with her, she'd bury you. Well, she literally did.
She did.
We did, too. Yep.
And moved on.
Pat, do you have
Yeah,
that
moved
information on the Paulies that you could send to me at some point? Wherever, I don't know where you found it, but
Yeah.
if you could find it, that's pretty interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
it is
There are
very
some
interesting.
names in Leominster. Well, Houghton, I see streets or buildings in
All the time.
Lancaster named after Houghtons. I assume they were all.
Because they came from Lancaster,
At one
yeah.
We
point,
have a Houghton Square.
yeah, at one point, somebody sent me something, and it was this whole, like, family tree of the Houghtons and who they married. And it was amazing. Have you ever seen that?
No.
I don't know where I
I've seen
saw
the
it.
family
So it was a
tree, but-
family tree, and it started off with the two Houghtons or the father or whoever it was, and then one went off and married somebody from Vermont, and it was all. I don't know where I found it. I'm not good at like categorizing things. I just look at it and remember it.
Yeah.
But it had the whole. Maybe it's online somewhere.
Might
it was
be.
a family tree of where who every kid
Yeah,
was.
Family Search might have
where
the
they all
family
went and ended up, and they were quite a big family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but there's some names that you don't see anymore, like Pollard, P-O-L-L-A-R-D. You don't see those names around here anymore.
Yeah,
And is anybody related to the Houghtons anymore? I mean, is there anybody that you comes in and says, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm a Houghton."
Yeah. I don't know.
And we would remember that.
Drury
Right,
did
but I'm just
the
saying,
creation of the-
If
they
you
did
saw
Houghton Square,
if
but I
you
don't
saw
know
the
if he was-
family tree,
Yeah.
you would say they're all over the place. But it's all, who knows? I mean, we're talking 300 years
It
ago.
depends on how many, if you had a lot of daughters, then of course the name changes.
They didn't use
if you
their
had
hyphenated
children,
names.
If children didn't, live to adulthood. I mean, it was not easy. And actually when I was looking through some stuff, a lot of my job at the library now is going through paper. After 40 years of working with teenagers, I'm in a room full of things older than me, and I'm very happy about it. I have to tell you. At least twice a week, I pinch myself and I go, they pay me to do this. They pay me to, not that you don't need to pay me, but I
never said a word. I didn't say anything.
It's just my husband's
that Crystal on the
rolling
phone?
around. Oh my God! Now they're not going to pay her.
We'll have her call back if it is.
But I found this, it was actually an address from when they were celebrating 300 years of the Bullfinch Church in Lancaster. And this was in 1953. And the address that this, it was one of the reverends who served as a pastor in the late 30s, early 40s through 51. He had the interesting, it was a really interesting address. And I thought, when I was thinking about these people, when you think about what it took to get here, the hard work it took to build a house, to carve out space in this wilderness, and what kind of people were doing this. And he said, in his address, he said, God sifted a whole nation that he might send choice grain into the wilderness. And this was a quote from Governor William Stoughton in 1688. He said, the founders of New England were drawn from the very best elements of the English nation, university-trained clergymen in their Pilgrim and Puritan congregations, magistrates and landed proprietors, merchants and farmers, courageous, serious-minded men and women who sought here an asylum where they might worship God according to their deepest convictions. From the settlers of the seacoast towns, Lancaster and Leominster, drew her first citizens, and they and their descendants have lived here even since that time. Poor in the world's goods some of them may have been, but they were rich in character, integrity, industry, and courage, qualities out of which this nation has been built. And I thought, what a great way to talk about these people, because really what it took to, especially, well, like I said, if you took a map and you used push pins to see where the original settlers, the oldest settlers, 300 years ago.
I think of the Amish all the time. I'm like, you got to get in the cart and drive like, there's a farm and there's hundreds of acres. It takes a while to get to your next door neighbor.
Exactly.
And think of it though. I mean, take today's society and then, obviously you didn't have the medicine, but you worked hard and you didn't have to leave your clothes off to the laundry, right? You didn't get called into HR when you went to work, right? A lot of things that
were simpler,
seem
simpler
romantic now. Think about how much of our time is tied up doing things like, I gotta get a laundry, I gotta get another suit, I gotta get dressed up. Think all the money that you spend. And, they built a house.
But you didn't have, when you get home, it gets dark. You turn the lights on. You turn the heat on when it gets cold. Well, if you're,
Send Mrs. What's your name there?
Yeah,
Rug out there.
to Chopwood.
Yeah, Mrs. Rug. Hey, Mrs. Rug.
If you've ever watched...
and start chopping a couple acres in the world there. What are you doing sitting down?
You hear about woodlots all the time.
Yeah,
a lot of property will talk about a woodlot that somebody had, because then that's what they used it for, was, you're going to use that for fuel. All the things you had to do just to survive, laying out, hay and food for your animals for the winter, food for yourself for the winter, but
no cable bill.
Yeah.
$300 cable bill.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But well, they lived off the land, right, so to speak, and they traded, right? I mean, that's pretty much how they lived, is they traded, and somebody would eventually said, let me open a store, and then you would come in and they trade off or sell some things, and so that guy survived through that.
But you made what you wore, you made what you ate.
I mean, there's some people right now, there's YouTube videos of people that are trying to replicate that life right now.
And they have no clue.
Well, if you're a fan of PBS, which I am, some of their experiments, like the 1868 house, and so they put people in, and they did one in colonial times. We just watched it, and you have to live as close to possibly.
I bet the guys run out the back door, run into McDonald's or something.
He's
got his friend down the street in the getaway car.
And they get graded at the end of this experiment, usually about how much you put aside,
would you have survived the winter? And I think in the 1868, that one, because that was out west.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites, I think. That one, you know, a lot of those people, they told them, you know, you would not have survived
Right,
the
of
winter.
course.
You don't have enough, even though you look at and think, I've got all this wood, I put all this hay aside. You do not have
Well,
enough.
you were still worried
Yeah.
about whether you had enough, what kind of
Yeah.
winter it was going to. They didn't
Right,
have.
what kind of winter it was going to be.
They didn't
and-
have, what's his name there, Don Kent, to tell
Yeah.
you what the winter was going to be like.
No,
so you
and
could
usually make a
predict it.
mistake, but.
All right, well, I'm going to throw you guys out of here, but I'm going to get you back because this is, we
that's
filled up
great.
45 minutes like nothing.
Yeah.
And then we got the rest of the show to do, but we're going to get you back.
So that's why we
Routinely.
volunteer and do this.
Yeah, this is
Because we get to do
amazing
this
stuff.
every time we
It's
go
amazing
in.
stuff.
It's so fun
It is.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So
Stuff
anyway,
that you find.
300, is it like an anniversary or birthday? How do you?
300 years anniversary.
Yeah.
Anniversary
Since
of
the
the
first
first
house.
settling.
When the
yeah.
first settler
The
came
first
to the Gresham of
settlers,
Leominster
yeah,
300
Gresham
years
Home.
ago.
Gresham.
So yeah, the country has nothing on us. We're competing by 50 years,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But big birthday this year, and a lot of plans to have a whole committee on this 250th.
Yeah.
And then next time I'd like to talk about, because it's the 250th, I'd like to talk about the shot heard around the world.
Oh, yeah.
And the battle in Lexington and Concord that came from
Our
the shore
ties,
all the way.
yeah,
And our
Leominster's
ties,
ties to-
Leominster's ties to the
revolution.
revolution.
Yeah.
We sent 99 men from
99.
Carter
99.
Park to Concord
And they all marched down.
on April 19th.
Well, we want some, this year as we're celebrating Patriots Day, we want some acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let that happen. All right, taking a short break here. Thank you to the members of the Leominster Historical Commission. Taking a short break and we'll be right back. What do we got going here, Mr. Scott? Back here at Inside Leominster, just a couple of minutes left, and we got pictures of the week and a couple of slides to show you. And that was fun. We'll get them back here as we talk about the revolution and Leominster's participation. And we saw racing. No, we're not going to talk about Bay State racing tonight. That's all everybody's been talking about, and that's fine. And but we're going to do a segment in March. We changed the date, I think. So it's in March, and we're going to do 2 hours here on a Thursday night. And we're going to have the Bay State racing people come in and explain the plan. And we're not looking to change people's minds. We're just looking to get the information out. And then we have phones here, and if people have a question, they could call in. They don't have to come on air. They can call, just write it, and we'll give them a chance to answer it. And as I said today on my morning briefing, it is our responsibility as elected officials to make sure people have all the information. Like, this is here's what they're proposing. Here is the information. And then other people will have things. And, I've said, hey, if you have some study that says, you shouldn't do anything on a landfill, you shouldn't be there, you couldn't, fine, get it to us, no problem at all. But anyway, we'll do that in March, and we'll do 2 hours.
And they can email too.
And you can email. You can email a question to us, and we'll be glad to have you. And let's see, I just a couple of things left for this, finishing off this week. We had a busy week. In fact, you still get the kids here? Sit down, relax, buddy.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yes, we do.
You blend in with the, the couch.
Yeah, we were doing, basically, we're doing a lot of filming, so we have to wear jeans to speak. So
Yeah.
So, we...
Kids camp.
Kids Video Club, yeah. So they're doing stop motion. They're learning some stop motion. They're learning to do stand-up comedy. They're learning to do improv.
Well, we got a few things left. Tonight is bingo at City Hall. And so what's today? Today is the 20th, right? Yeah. Oh, my God. I can't believe how many things they had today. Well, tomorrow is Seed Education presents Dry Ice at the Public Library. Anything you want to know about the Public Library, Leominster, library.org. And then STEM Fun, 3D printing and 3D doodler, pen exploration. And that's tomorrow at the, Saturday at the library from 3 to 4. But what we really try to do is provide a ton of things. So we had the movie night packed. Kids were excellent. Parents got to eat pizza, watch a movie.
What movie did you show?
I forget what they were watching. I had to leave. I had to go to this Bay State racing. I wanted to stay with the kids and sit in the box there and watch the movie, but I went to the Bay State racing thing. And let me do some slides. Sure. Slide, all the way slide. All right, hang in there with me. You guys ready? All right, here we go. 1,274, the number of people that tested positive in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for COVID. 11 cases here in Leominster, 9 deaths, 1 is too many. Today is National Clean Out Your Bookcase Day. And when you do, bring those books to City Hall, because we have a bookcase where people come in and can take and leave if they want. I love cherry pie, National Cherry Pie Day. But I don't like when they don't have enough cherries in it. Like sometimes they skimp on the cherries. Like, come on now. National Handcuff Day. I don't know what that's all about, but it's National Leadership Day too. National Love Your Pet Day. Huh? And my mother and my brother Mark, Louis is like a person in our house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. He rules the house, Louis. And it's National Muffin Day and National No Politics Today. And that's why we didn't talk about Bay State racing today. And it's Woman in Blue Jeans Day today. Do you know, I was kidding this morning. I said, Wendy, is there such thing as, I bet you, are they going to have like a National Toothpick Day? And she goes, yeah,
there
March 27th or something. Anyway, remember the film African Queen? That was 1952. It's still a good movie. 1959, Jimi Hendrix plays his first gig in Seattle. 1962, John Glenn becomes the first American to orbit the Earth. 1991, the 33rd Grammy Awards, Another Day in Paradise by Mariah Carey. 1992, Ross Perot says, I'm running for president. I'm running for president on Larry King Live. And King said, what's the question? What's the question? 2016, 4-inch lock of John Lennon's hair. My brother, listen to this one, Marco. 4 inches of John Lennon's hair sold it for $35,000, and I'll sell mine for $35. And in 2024, Beyonce is the first black female artist to top Billboard's Hot Country Song charts with country sing Texas Hold'em. And she's gotten awards this year too, right?
Oh, yeah,
she's pretty much dominated.
She won most of the Grammys.
And here's some of the projects that we're working on. We were on a conference call yesterday, 2 days ago, with MassDOT. They're going to be helping us with Colburn Street at Pleasant Street, Malbon on Lancaster Street, Union Street, and also Mechanic Street. And anyway, we'll have Wendy on again. I'm going to have her post all of these posts online so people can visit. Post of the week. Here we go. All City Chorus, they did a beautiful job. What talent. What talent, honestly, what talent at the high school they have. And then they all came out and performed together. Lots of fun at the movie night. Is that it?
Yeah.
That was it for pictures? Was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Carla, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dino.
Thank you for hanging in there. We had a lot to try to get done today, and I wanted to make sure I got to say hello to you. I saw Crystal last night. I saw her at the movie night. I saw her at the cafe. She's everywhere, Crystal.
Yeah, Mark says hi.
Yeah, I meant to get in there, and I needed some things, and I ran out of time. I'm the guy that runs in there. They close late. I'm there. I'm like the 10 minutes of guy. And
make sure you get a hold of Reggie.
And the employees are looking at me like, oh, so this is the guy They're all ready to go. They got the place faced off. The cans are all lined up. The place is clean. The guys got the keys. They're ready to lock the door. And who comes flying through the door? Me. And do I know what I want and where it is? No. Generally, I don't. And then I start like picking through the grapes, and maybe I'll get this. And I don't want to keep anybody any longer. So I do make it out of there on time. It's just,
Make sure you talk to Reggie.
I will. I'll make sure.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. So we've got busy shows coming up.
Yeah.
A couple places that I'd like to go visit and take the cameras out to see some of these businesses. And so yeah, I'm looking at a busy March, April, and May, and then we'll be busy with other things. We'll have the art show. We're always at the youth art show, and hey, we're gonna have the pizza crawl. Is he ready?
He's ready.
Look at him. He's like a 28-inch waist.
We put it on the calendar, and our production calendar.
Yeah.
We have film pizza crawl and then eat at pizza crawl underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should make our own pizzas sometime. Is there a place? Maybe somebody will let us go in and make our own pizzas.
I talked to Amanda for Local Ventures to see if we could get into a place to either, make pizza or do some sort of like cake decorating or bakery.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be real fun. So we got a busy season coming up, and as I said, we'll have Bay State racing on it. And I just want to make sure, I always want to make sure that people have all the information that they need, and then they make their own decision. That even when we did the casino, I don't know if you were here in town when we did the casino, but it was a lot of, yes, no, signs in front of people's houses, vote no, whatever. And it was a referendum at the time. It passed 61 or 62% or something like that. But I think at the end, by the time it went to vote, everybody was like, all right, now I'm oversensitized with so much information. And they went to the polls and they voted for it. This one doesn't require that. This requires a vote of the council. And as you know, everyone can say whatever they want. Once it gets onto the council, it's very, everybody has 2 minutes, and you make the presentation, and the councils, and they did debate, and then ultimately we'll make a decision, and off we go. So there'll be plenty of time to talk about things like this. So a busy week for school kiddos. I think we had so many events going on, they're probably tired now. And they're probably like, Ma, can we just stay home tonight? We've had so much going on. But that's good stuff. We want to keep them out there. And I think the next thing here is we're going to get some melting. And as things melt, and you've got one of those little choppers and ice chippers, and you can get out there and clear out the catch basin. Yes, help us. That'll be the next thing, is that as we get some melting. We don't have any rainstorms, I don't think, coming in, so that helps us. But as you start to see the warmer temperatures, it could hit it's like a big deal. It's like, hey, it's going to hit like 40 degrees. And
on
we're all
Saturday.
Like, yeah, it's like, it's going to be 40. I mean, we're all running around going, yeah, it's going to be 40.
Summer weather.
It's going to feel like 60 though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it got, just so you know, we scored at the Fitchburg Airport, which is right on that Leominster-Fitchburg line, because it literally goes through, 68 miles an hour. No one in the state had higher winds than this area right here, between that area, right where Fitchburg Airport is, right on that Crawford Street area. 68 mile an hour is clocked in. And I'll bet you at the top of some of the hills in Leominster, it was actually higher than that. Wow. High Rock Road in Fitchburg, some of those places. I'll bet you it's over 70 miles an hour. We haven't seen that in a long time. We out of time?
Yeah.
We are. We're out of time, everybody. Thank you to the whole crew here for coming in. Scott, thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
And thank you for watching Inside Leominster. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. Thanks for showing up. Good.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisInsuranceAgency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
This is LTV.